I'm Joe Halco, Director of Community Relations for Northwestern Counseling and Support Services, and welcome to another episode of NCSS Here for You. Since 1958, Northwestern Counseling and Support Services has been providing access to high-quality services which promote healthy living and emotional well-being to the residents of Franklin and Grand Isle counties. Over the years, as the needs of the community have changed, so too have the programs and services that we make available to assist children, adolescents, adults, families, and seniors. We take our role in the community seriously and strive to provide a continuum of the highest quality services to meet the needs of individuals who at any point seek assistance. This month's episode is titled, Berry Hill, Your Home Away from Home. For years, there has been an increasing need in our community for specialized respite care for individuals not easily placed due to medical and personal care needs. On today's program, we'll learn how this need is now being addressed by NCSS's Berry Hill location. To discuss the impact that this program has had on shared living providers and families that are unable to sustain stable, contracted respite, I'm pleased to introduce this month's guests, Mike Finch, Senior Service Coordinator, and Kayla Tosi, Behavioral Interventionist. And I'd like to welcome both of you to the show this month.
Thank you.
So let's start with, let's talk about the need for highly qualified respite providers in our area.
Well, Joe, we've been seeing that there's the clientele that we serve through NCSS has really developed a need for people to be able to care for, not only behaviorally, but as well as medically. And big part of that is having home providers that, in a sense, are able to have time off, respite, that respite care that we can provide at NCSS. We do that through our Berry Hill location, which is up in Richford. Berry Hill is just the name of the home itself, really home away from home. Respite in itself is a way for those home providers to be able to have some time off. Generally, clients that we serve are placed in home providers that are specialized in any type of needs, training, and supports for that individual. If those supports are very, very high, then it's been a hard time to actually find somebody to be able to give those home providers that time off. So really there was a need throughout Franklin County for those specialized type of supports. Big ones that we see, and the difficulty in placing and finding respite care for these individuals is handicap accessibility. A lot of homes don't have ramps or wheelchair access or the proper showering as well as toilets and sinks, accessibility in their homes. That takes a substantial amount of resources to modify a personal home to be able to support somebody that does have those challenging needs. Really, with that, we can take and utilize Berry Hill if, say, a person is displaced from their home, either a home provider decides to quit, or there's a family tragedy and there needs to be some type of support for that individual while that home provider takes care of their own family. We can utilize Berry Hill for those specialized cares. It's full ADA compliant. We have ramps and making sure that we have roll-in and seats in showers for all those personal cares and those challenging needs that just a regular home wouldn't be able to provide. Along with that, the staff that we have there, Kayla being one of them, they're specialized trained. They have the training through NCSS to provide that specialized care for those individuals that wouldn't really be easily placed in the community. There's really a finite amount of people, great people out there that NCSS has called upon repeatedly to help with these individuals, with any individual, but that's a small pool. And to be able to find the right fit, the right person, the right training and accessibility really for these individuals has been tough. So really there was a need seen at NCSS for this type of facility and program to be able to support these individuals. Really a small population of Franklin County really will qualify and be able to meet all these needs.
You know, one thing that strikes me, Mike, that you mentioned, and it's so true, is I think a lot of times people who maybe in their family, they don't have anyone who perhaps would have these special needs. They don't really understand the magnitude of everything that has to fall in place to be able to support someone. And like you said, it's everything from ADA accessibility, but then that's, you know, accessing that is one thing, but once you're in a location, the ability to be able to move around, do the things that you need to do on a daily basis, and get the supports that you need. And again, everybody is different. Some people have much more diverse needs than others do, just depending on their circumstances. But you make a good point, though, that you know the pool of people that are providing all these services to begin with is a very small pool when you look at the community at large.
Right. And really the house has been utilized by individuals that may have those crisis situations where there's an event in the home provider's life where they cannot provide support for that individual. And this gives a place for a person to come feel at home, feel safe, and get all their needs met by qualified staff to be able to support them through that time. Because not only is it hard for people in general to move from one location to another location, having that on top of if there's a crisis event with that home provider, that has an effect on the person as well.
Sure, absolutely. So let's take a little deeper look at how NCSS is addressing this need.
So we opened Berry Hill June of last year.
Yep, 2018.
And 2018. And really drawing upon that need and looking at the diverse clientele that we serve at NCSS and seeing what would be the best model or house home for you know, to be able to utilize and really have that broad-based support for any and all individuals that we serve through NCSS. With that, it's open all the time. It's open 24 hours, 365 days a year. It provides that type of accessibility for individuals on a moment's notice, on a monthly notice, on a weekly notice, to be able to have that type of planning for home providers to be able to utilize a place where they can make plans on their own and have that respite time, their time for themselves, and utilize this Berry Hill to actually provide that support for them. It's really reassuring, and we've heard from home providers knowing that they've come up and looked at the house prior. What's it look like? Who are the people? You know, they're vested in the individuals that they serve on a daily basis. You know, they're providing, they're part of their family. And to know and have that security of knowing that they're going to a place that is just like home, that is qualified, that they know that the staff know how to properly support, you know, part of their family. And that really, you know, resounds with people to be able to know that they're not dropping somebody in an institution, they're not going to a hospital setting. That's a real home setting. And that really for, you know, for our clients is settling too, because it's not something foreign. They're, you know, it's very quiet. There isn't a lot of bustle going on. There aren't alarms going off or anything of that sort. So it really puts them at ease as well and makes their stay that much better for everybody.
You know, and that's the other thing is, you know, when we talk about the home providers themselves and what this does for them, it can't be put into cash. I mean, it's just amazing. I would think for them emotionally, and you know, and being able to have those breaks, because what they're doing day in and day out is amazing work, and it's work that certainly over time for anyone can really sort of drain an individual, and to be able to have this ability and to have it where they feel comfortable, because I mean, not only for the individual that you're serving, but for the provider themselves to both be very comfortable that being involved with Berry Hill is kind of just an extension of what their norm is.
Right. And that's a great part about it, because NCSS works closely with the home providers to provide and to show that, hey, if you want to do something next month, let's put it on the books, and we'll have that person come in, and if there's any questions, if you'd like to come look at the site, take a tour, if there are any special requests, that we can cater to that, and to be able to know that that person, that home provider, can plan and know that everybody's going to be safe, and that they're going to be able to have that time to themselves or to their own family to be able to, utilize the home.
Yeah, and that's been, a lot of the feedback that we have gotten has been that it really is nice to have Berry Hill easily accessible. We're pretty, uniform in doing what we do up there, and having just the home provider, again, having that peace of mind, knowing that their client, who really could be like a part in their family, like they really are getting that good break, because they have that peace of mind knowing that they're really well cared for and that they're ultimately going to be comfortable throughout their stay.
What are the ages of the individuals that you've been serving?
So we have served someone as young as 9 and as someone as old as 86. So it's pretty broad.
Pretty broad. Yeah.
And really all ages in between. And that really just comes down to, again, like Mike had said, having the client and their home provider or family member that they live with come up ahead of time, so that everyone can be comfortable, that we can assess those needs that they have, whether it's dietary, if they do have movement modifications that need to be in place. That really allows us to be able to support them even better.
Yeah, the training of for the staff, we have four staff for the house. That's the huge piece of the actual supports up there. That's really what has been difficult for NCSS and home providers, to be able to find that respite care for individuals that have a lot of specialized training and supports, and to be able to have a trainings for those individuals that are going to provide that respite care, to find the time for that, and really the amount of support that's needed for that respite care for a respite provider that might not be an option for them. To be able to know that, all right, I'm only going to be supporting somebody one weekend out of the month. Why should I go through all this modifications of my home, of my life, and to be able to take all those trainings, et cetera, to actually support this one individual? It doesn't, for a lot of people, it's not beneficial for them. So that really, that narrows that pool even smaller, because it isn't a year-round, all the time type of support. It's really the respite itself. Most of I think on average right now, our stays are between 3 and 5 days, 3 and 7 days, that individuals are utilizing the home. It doesn't mean that we haven't supported people for longer than that or shorter. We've had just overnight stays as well. But to be able to have that versatility, to be able to support somebody as young as 9, as well as somebody as elderly as 86, it really, speaks to the diversity of training and the specialized, nature of Berry Hill to be able to provide that. And that's key, because it isn't segmented to just an age group or a clientele. So it really opens it up to everybody and all the home providers that NCSS, works with.
So when you talk about this specialized care, I mean, that even it's such a broad, I mean, when you look at it, it's almost the entire lifespan. I mean, because someone as young as 9. So, when we talk about specialized care and the fact that Berry Hill will provide all that and that the staff is trained, I mean, you're talking, it's pretty impressive, that you have a staff that can work with individuals as young as, say, 9 and all throughout the adult years, adolescent years and adult years, because, of course, at each stop, along the way, and of course, depending what other circumstances the individual has as well, because everybody's so different and what their needs are. That's extremely impressive, and I would think that it puts the home providers at ease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest part is working with the home providers and knowing that everybody is getting the supports that they need. Not only is it a great support for the clients we serve, it's a huge support for those home providers because they're able to take that break, to be able to have that time, to themselves or to their own families, and be able to plan that and utilize it and know that, all right, I want to go to Arizona this summer. Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
And that really works both ways because everybody is really utilizing and having that time where they can reset and be mindful of themselves.
Yeah, and that really is so important in the work that we do at Berry Hill. But these home providers are supporting these individuals day in and day out, and it can be exhausting. Absolutely. You're dealing with people's lives, and it looks different. It looks different for everybody. So this has been a really great program so far, and really has been really pretty successful in helping those home providers actually have that break. Yeah.
So we're talking about a program that's a little under 2 years old, but are there any what you would call unusual success stories? I mean, things that stick out in your mind that maybe somebody arriving didn't think they were going to have such a great experience because this is something different from what their norm is. And yet when they leave, they are extremely glad that they did have the opportunity to have Berry Hill involved.
Yeah, we've had a few that are just sticking out in my brain right now. But there was a young lady who had come to us. She was completely new to NCSS as a whole. So we knew nothing about her, even what she liked to eat. We knew nothing. And all of our Berry Hill staff were both able to support her with some medical issues that she was having down at Northwestern Medical Center, as well as accommodating her throughout her stay and really taking the time to get to learn things about her and to get to know her so that when it was time for her to move on and to be placed with a home provider, that we were making sure that she was going to be going to somewhere where that was going to be a good fit. And to this day, as far as I know, she's actually really thriving and really doing very well. So those are like the stories that are really heartwarming for me in doing this work are those sorts of things for sure.
Yeah, we've had individuals that have come up to, with their home providers and taken the tour of the house and then hear back from the home provider, well, I'm not sure, he's not really thinking he might want to come up there because whatever, just that anxiousness of going somewhere new. And especially that, individuals, they are harder to place with, those types of supports because there aren't qualified people out there and everybody at Berry Hill is qualified. So it's getting through that barrier of, all right, I've come, I've seen it, and yeah, I'm not really too keen on going up there. And then sure enough, they go up there, they have a grand old time, and then all we hear back, from the service coordinators that works with the home provider, really on a one-on-one basis. All right, when can I come again?
Yeah. Yeah.
When what's going on next weekend? And getting that type of feedback, because it is challenging for anybody to go somewhere new, to get
Absolutely.
totally new faces, and that's why we really try to incorporate that time to come up, to meet the individuals, to actually start forming that relationship, because really that's the relationship that they've already formed with their home provider. There's the trust part of it, that they know that I'm safe, that I know I'm getting my needs met. And to have somebody new kind of say, all right, here you go, that takes a lot for somebody to be able to say, all right, yeah, I trust you with my needs right now, and I kind of do and I kind of don't. But yes, we've had those types of situations where people are hesitant and I don't think it's going to work out, and done it too. All right, well then why don't you stay for a night, or maybe during the day, and really try it out. See if it works, because that really solidifies that knowing of what it's actually going to look like when the home provider shuts the door and you're there with a caring staff at Berry Hill.
Yeah.
And that's always been one of the comments. I don't think I can remember of anybody saying I'm never going back up there.
No.
And that's not something I want to do again. It's always been positive, and I think that's the best part, is it's really positive on everybody's end, on the home provider, on the individual, to be able to know that their experience there is comforting. We really pride and make it as home as possible, that there isn't that, disconnect,
Yeah.
that there is those conversations going on there, that there is that support, playing games, coloring books, that there's that interaction with the individual, just to get them to know them and get them to open up, to be able to say, all right, I'd like to do this, or I'd like to do that, and be able to cater to that.
Yeah.
So, it really comes down to the staffing and training, which is paramount, because they're the ones that the clients are really forming that relationship with, and that trust.
Yeah, and those are two key things, is number one, the relationship, and then of course the trust factor, which is huge. Any other positive impacts from the program that you'd like to mention that maybe we haven't covered yet?
We had also had a gentleman that had stayed with us who did have some, handicap accessible challenges. And so he was displaced from a home provider, and in the interim, when they were trying to find a new placement, which again was very difficult, because making those modifications to one's home is both costly, it's time consuming, it takes a lot of different resources. And so just having Berry Hill as an option, which is ultimately where he ended up coming to stay with us, and he was there for 6 weeks until an adequate home provider was able to be found. So that's another one.
And what was great about that is he was very involved in NCSS supports and the programs other than Berry Hill that NCSS provides. So working with the service coordinator at NCSS, we're able to make sure that the adequate staffing and transportation and those needs were met as well, to really make sure that the impact was as minor as possible. Obviously, losing a home provider that you had been with for, I think it was 5-6 years, that's really traumatic for an individual, to be able to just know that, all right, they're gone, and something new, what's going to happen, and not have those questions answered for you. But to be able to work seamlessly to make sure that those services weren't interrupted, that there was the ability to have time go, and nothing's really changed. Yes, obviously you're in a different, situation, but that doesn't mean everything else is put on hold. And to be able to, support him through that entire time was great for that individual, and it really gave NCSS the time to find that qualified person. So it wasn't, a rash decision as to where to house this individual that had significant needs, and to know that, all right, we can utilize this home while we're making that search. And if there are any modifications, et cetera, that do need to happen to the home, if they qualify, then there's time for that as well, to be able to meet those needs. I think that's the biggest part, is meeting those needs of the individuals that we serve. And they're varied.
Yeah, I was going to
You
say,
know, they're-
each one's an individual, and they're can be diametrically opposed from this person or that person. So you've had a lot of success with the program in the year and a half or since it's been launched. What do you see as the future?
Well, I think what we're trying to do right now is we're opening a second respite home that we're going to actually utilize a little bit closer to St. Albans, and be able to have some of that extra availability of a place and a placement for individuals. Just due to the success of Berry Hill, we've had to actually turn people away and say, hey, can I utilize the home for this weekend? Sorry, we already have 2 people staying there. It's only 2 beds at the home.
Yes.
So there is a finite amount that we can support. So we're really looking forward to expanding it, and we're going to be doing that over the next couple months to be able to grab that overflow, to get those other people that have been turned away or have another option, and really open it up, because we've had people look and say, oh, I can't do it, then that doesn't work for that home provider to take that time. That's an opportunity missed both for that client as well as for that home provider, and really opening up the availability and building on the success of Berry Hill, and really working with the individuals and the home providers to provide that service. So there's still a need there. It was kind of well, do you think it'll get utilized? Do you think we're going to have a lot of people, little people, no people? And just looking at the stats that we've gathered of the whole time that it's been open, it's definitely there, and it's been utilized. And unfortunately, like I said, we've had to turn people away, and right now we're actually working with home providers to schedule their whole summer for next summer.
Wow.
To be
that's
able to, all
incredible.
right, on this month, that month,
Yeah.
to be able to do it. So.
Well, that is terrific. So, sounds like an extremely successful program, and one that is helping people on a variety of levels, from home providers to the individuals themselves. And certainly great work by both of you and your entire staff on changing lives.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, our time is up.
Wow.
So I want to thank my guests, Mike Finch and Kayla Tosi, for sharing their insights on the positive impact that the Berry Hill program is having on individuals that have been served at this location. I also want to thank you, the viewer, for spending time with us again this month. You can learn more about all of the NCSS programs and services by visiting ncssinc.org. I'm Joe Halco, and I'll be back next month with another episode of NCSS Here for You.